Joe Rogan just did what no one thought was possible. After years of watching Donald Trump make his rounds on every major podcast like Impulsive with Logan Paul, Theo Vaughn, and even Patrick Bet-David's PBD, the biggest name in the podcasting game held back. But Rogan didn't avoid Trump because he was afraid of controversy, he was just waiting for that right moment. Rogan's a genius, he knew exactly when to strike, and it wasn't about making Donald Trump a victim. In fact, Donald Trump was fully in on it. Together, they crafted what might have been the most explosive podcast interview of all time, which at the time of recording this video has amassed 22 million views in just 23 hours, and is projected to be the most viewed podcast of all time. A record that's also held by Joe Rogan on the Elon Musk interview, currently sitting at a staggering 68 million views. The atmosphere was electric. Rogan wasn't there to give Trump an easy platform, nor was he interested in shielding him from tough topics. He dove straight into the questions that every other podcast dared only to touch lightly on. From aliens and government secrets to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Rogan's approach wasn't to corner Trump, but rather let him reveal himself in a way that no one else had ever seen before. Shockingly enough, Donald would give away that he was told a lot by the Secret Service about extraterrestrial life, and almost seemed reluctant to talk about it.
And the people coming from space, you know?
Yes.
And I know you're interested in that.
Oh, very interested in that. How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd they tell you? How much can you tell?
So
How's that work? Is it like super
I think
top
I can
secret?
tell.
I mean, think about it. Trump had been on Impulsive where he cracked jokes with Logan Paul, Theo Vaughn's podcast where the vibe was chill and controversial, and even Patrick Bet-David's PBD podcast where they dug into politics and business. But Joe Rogan waited for the stakes to be high enough for one moment to break the internet. He wasn't looking to give Donald Trump another media moment, he wanted the moment. Rogan knew that the event that had unfolded on July 13th, 2024 in Pennsylvania, that was less than an inch away from taking Donald's life, was the exact moment he needed to make history and drive enormous viewership to his podcast.
Said, take a look at what happened.
And that's where Rogan's genius comes in. He didn't approach Trump as just another controversial guest, he approached him like an opportunity. Rogan had the power of timing on his side. He picked the moment that the world was practically holding its breath to start teasing the show, waiting for Trump to make a move, to do or say something that would set everything ablaze, and that's exactly what he did. But it seemed Donald may have been in on his tactics, as Donald was seen teasing his eventual appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast across several podcasts before, including Nelk.
You're doing a lot of podcasts recently. One that I would love to see you on is, I think Joe Rogan has to have you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Oh, sure I would.
I think Joe, like, besides us, Joe's
I
obviously-
think I'm doing it.
But once the episode finally dropped on October 25th on the Joe Rogan podcast, the internet couldn't handle it. And the instant the interview aired, it was as if every corner of social media was on fire. Rogan's choice of questions, timely, thought-provoking, and even a bit incendiary, had people glued to their screens. At some point, Trump seemed to completely dodge some of the questions that Joe Rogan had asked, but he didn't interrupt. Rogan simply let the conversation roll, and that's the brilliance. It wasn't a trap, and Trump wasn't the victim. They both knew the stakes. The podcast ran a little over time, until Trump abruptly asked how long they'd been running, and after being told 3 hours, Donald would thank Joe Rogan for the time and explain he had to leave now as he was giving a speech soon, seemingly in a hurry.
Let's go.
Probably like 3 hours.
I got to make a speech.
Right.
But we'll do it again. I want to do it again with you.
Okay.
You are something.
Thank you very
I
much.
said, how long will this last? Anywhere from an hour to...
It's possible this whole time Trump was simply there to use Rogan and his platform to promote his campaign for the upcoming election on November 5th. And his attendance had nothing at all to do with the fact that he considered Rogan a friend. Or maybe, just maybe, both men were sitting across the table for their own personal gain and share no sympathy for one another. And if that really is the case, this episode isn't just a major media event, it's one of the most brilliantly calculated moves in political media history.